SwayamPrabha. Digital India. Educated India.
Hello everyone, welcome back. As we discussed in the last lectures, we were on the session on signages and wayfinding. My name is Sneh and I'm Associate Professor at Manipal University, Jaipur. Today we will be going through with the lecture signages and their classifications. So before we proceed, these are some table of contents which we will be covering today. This includes all the signage types, signage classification and their representation, development evolution of pictograms, cultural and regional variations, signage classification based on their usage, service signages and the hierarchy, signage classification based on their locations, and material selections and representations. Before we proceed, let's go back to a small revision what we have covered till now. In the signages and wayfinding study, we examine the fundamentals of navigating diverse environments. We analyze the complex relationship between the information, user and environmental factors that makes the wayfinding effective by Moeller's model. We also gone into the history and current applications. Environmental graphic design became the central and creating visually appealing and information environment. We also gone through the various theories of Lynch, Gibson, Arthur, Pessany and gone there with their dynamic successions on signages strategies. Beyond theory, so examine signages and wayfinding projects practices. We have also seen the transit trip layouts, how they have been built, building analysis which help to understand the user needs and solve environmental issues. We explored the importance of signages tools, technology and their integration in modern navigation systems. The significance of wayfinding principles including conspicuity, legibility, readability, visibility and has their own emphasis. We discussed how color selection in safety signages improve communication and user experiences. Along with that, in the last lecture, we capture the essence of building a business case for signages and wayfinding projects. We delve into the significance of transit trip layouts, building analysis, which are fundamentals for understanding user needs and navigating potential challenges within the environment. We explore the critical role of developing suitable nomenclature and numbering systems, offering unique identifiers to seamless navigation. We also discussed about how clear signages and wayfinding systems help people in finding safety exits, assembly points quickly in emergencies like fire, in the case of fire. Even in low light or smoky areas, signages must be visible. We also learn how evacuation sign must comply with the fire and life safety regulations. The placement, sizes and contrast, what are their significance? How signages inform occupants of evacuation routes and emergency procedures. It has to accessible to all the occupants, including those who are disabled. Signages need regular maintenance and inspections to stay legible. Effective evacuation trainings and signages improve fire and life safety of the building, ensuring orderly evacuation during emergencies. In the upcoming lecture, we will be studying about the classifications and other modalities. Signage classification. All around us, signage play an essential role in communicating information, directing movements, and improving user experience in a wide range of settings. We'll explore the many ways signage can be classified in this session, covering topics which are representation, usage, location, and material. That means how we can classify based on their representation. That means what pictogram tells you what, and how are these icons built. Then based on their usage, that is directional, are we using it for informational purposes or services or any other. Then we will be going into the material part of it, what materials we are using, why we are using, and which environment we are using. Along with that, we also explore what other classification methods exist. Okay, so let's go back to our first classification system, that is signage classification based on representation. On the basis of representation, signage can be classified into three categories, that is iconic, indexual, and arbitrary. What these iconic signages are? Iconic signages convey meaning through visual similarity or resemblance to the identified message. For example, the picture of bed symbolizes a hospital, whereas a person running gives the impression of fire exits or emergency exit, and a fork and knife sometimes give you the would have seen actually indicates the dining area. These pictograms rely on visual association to convey their messages. Another one, indoxical signages. Indoxical signage communicates indirectly relying on contextual clues or association to convey meanings. For example, the arrow pointing towards the staircase implies the direction of nearest exit. The footprint in the floor guide pedestrian towards the restroom, and the directional sign with the text this way indicate the path to follow. These signs indirectly points or guide user based on contextual clues. Another one, which is arbitrary signages. Arbitrary signages rely on contextual or learned association to convey meaning. These connections between the signifier and the signified is established through cultural and linguistic communications. For example, the use of letter H represents hospital. The symbol of phone to denote a designated phone booth, and the word information I represents the help desk. These signs rely on pre-established conversations within a particular culture or linguistic context. In addition to these examples, other instances of iconic, indoxical, and arbitrary signage can be found in various environments, each serving its unique purpose in guiding and informing user effectively. When we talk about these signages, we have to talk about the pictograms, since all the representation are of the pictograms. This pictogram concept was developed, which we will be exploring as an example, downtown LA. It was developed by Hun Design, stemmed for various factors including project requirement, layout, past history, and brand identity. This was a project which has the goal to provide unique identification to each zone within the city of downtown for easy recognition. Questioning how to categorize them, so that's become easy to identify. While analyzing and doing this project, they thought of many things. As I told you before, that human mind can recognize 5 colors in a go very efficiently. So, you might see they have selected 5 colors here, and since the zones were more than 5, so they struggled. How can they make these zones more? How can they make the difference in these zones? To solve this thing, they actually used 3 different shapes. So, shapes and color combination actually give them the option of 15. So, these 15 different combinations based on the city names and renowned features were actually created. These pictograms were designed to represent zones such as Fashion District, which is this one, the Wholesale District, the Toy, and similarly the Jewellery. Let's delve into the process behind the developing of these distinctive pictograms. To create a cohesive set of pictograms, they conducted a research comprehending to the project specification, layout considerations, and historical identity. Figure out what is most important features that needs to be shown and pick the right shape and color to make the picture clear and appealing to the eyes. Start by brainstorming to come up with some initial ideas. Then they make small changes to each one and make sure they were consistent and usable across the set. They tried to design out a different situations to see how well they work and make any changes that are needed. Once everything was agreed upon, they put this pictogram where they were supposed to go. But they made sure that it has to be visible on the right place. So, they developed the series of pictograms which looks like this. How the development process took place, that can be easily seen in the bottom of the PPT. Here, the column you see actually represents the historic downtown here. Column is actually taken from the historical building and then sketched with the help of different sketches. They have been transferred to the illustration form and then various options were developed. The final symbol comes to this. Now, let us take another example, which is Jewellery District. Since ring represents jewellery, they have chosen the ring and developed the illustration options and lastly finalized this. If you see carefully, all the symbols are actually of the same line. Maybe their color and shapes are different, but they belong to one family. This is how a project of any pictogram importance is developed. To make it more understandable, let us go to the other option where the history plays its part. Okay? Okay. I hope few symbols you might be knowing what are they. So, these pictograms and graphic symbols represent concept, has a rich history during back to the ancient civilizations. During Renaissance, they were used in maps and signs, later standardized and printing technology. In 20th century, designer like Otto Newton further refined pictogram system for mass communication. Today we have necessity for everyone to be able to communicate in digital interface, public transportation, find a house address and other places. We have changed over time into more stylized, useful forms. Today pictograms are used all the time, quickly and clearly sharing information. So, in this example of Olympics, how the evolution happened of the pictograms. These pictograms became standardized after the Olympic of Tokyo, which was in 1964. See the pictograms. It was introduced and tested in this international event to help non-Japanese spoken people to navigate the city, sports facilities and venues. After Tokyo 1964 Olympics, the pictograms evolved with each Olympic Games, offering a new opportunity for innovations and reinforcement. Munich 1972 introduced a rigid grid of pictograms with only 90 and 45 degrees. So, you can see that there is an either 45 degree or everything with the 90 degree. It can be easily seen here, 90 degree or the 45 degree. To maintain, this actually maintained the overall consistency in all the pictogram developed in this Olympic. To celebrate the Olympic 100th anniversary, Atlanta 1996 used classic illustration styles instead of formalism to honor the host country's Sydney in 2020 and Athens, then Beijing. They also use the local cultural motifs for their pictograms, which can be easily seen here. Here, the motifs, and here. In Rio 2016, pictograms were simplified and fluid lines to match the game. The simplicity and versatility of these designs helped to create comprehensive brand image. So, you see, this was a brand image of the entire game, and that was being followed throughout all the things, all the events, buildings, architecture of this game. In Tokyo 2020 or 21 pictogram, diversity and complexity increased. The number of symbols made is different in design. Each pictogram to be visually distinct while maintaining stylistic consistency. But that was again one of the best designs of its time. So, this way we can say that pictograms have evolved from the simple representation to sophisticated designs that reflect culture, technological and artistic trends. Pictograms are part of Olympic Games to become visual identity. It helped to communicate and improve the spectator's experience in all ways. Now, we have seen how pictograms have evolved. While talking about these pictograms, let's understand one important aspect. When we work on a global project, signages and its pictograms are often inferred by culture and regional factors. For instance, the pictogram of first aid may vary across different countries. This one and this one. With some of the using the red cross symbol while other utilizing the red crescent. Similarly, road sign indicating driver's directions may differ due to variations in the left hand driving and right hand driving. Additionally, color interpretation can also vary among cultures. I hope you would be knowing about this. Thus, in Japan, the color green is traditionally perceived as a different underscore the significance of perceived as a shade of blue. Moreover, in Middle Eastern countries, the cultural sensitiveness leads to the exclusion of dog image on the pictograms, which is related to pets. These differences underscore the significance of considering cultural variations and local pictures when designing signages to ensure effective communication across diverse population. Now, let's go to the second way of signage classification, that is based on the usage. Signage can be categorized based on its usage. 4 types of commonly found in various building environment. 1. Directional signages, identificational signages, informational signages and service signages. Directional signages provide guidance by introducing the sequence of directions, way out instructions and names or numbering to exit points. You can easily recognize which of these signages are directional signages. Any signage with having the arrows are called directional signages. If you see in the image, the first image, which is this, its design itself is indicating, that means giving the direction. That's why it is a directional signage and be treated as directions. So, while coding them, we make them as a DR, which is written here. The second one, it has also used the directions that also make this signage a directional signage. So, these are 2 examples which is actually the signages which are actually having arrows and directing towards certain direction. Second one is identificational signages. Identificational signages are signages which serve to the label and identify different elements within the building, including entrances or any facility or a room or a section. That means any room. For example, if you see the gate, it is showing that 1A gate is this. That means you are using it to identify that this is the gate or this is the gate number where you have to proceed. Or any room signage which is block here alpha, which is indicating that it is an indication you identify the room with the signage. So, that is called as identification sign. Next, coming to informational signages. As the name suggests, informational signages convey details such as schedule, routes, maps, including the locations of amenities and services. For example, they display schedule of the events for a meeting or a map showing floor plans, or you can ever have seen "you are here" maps in malls. If you see in the presentation, you will find this, which is actually the information related to the library floor plans from one of the projects, which is indicating that each floor what are the facility available. So, this is giving the user the information of everything. So, "you are here" maps, the listing of the plans or listing of all the floor important destinations comes into this section, which is called informational signages. The next one we come is the service signages, the last one. These are all part of the service signages. So, service signages, we will be studying more about this. Security and safety signages are essential elements which actually is a part of service signages. These signages are often color coded and featuring specific shapes and convey critical information. We have in some part covered this, but let me have a quick recap of it. If you see, the red actually indicates the prohibition, this is, or danger or emergency situation. The green indicates safe condition, emergency exits or first aid facilities. The yellow indicates caution or warning. The blue indicates important or mandatory information or action. The white, sometimes all the other necessary informations are represented on white to give certain additional information. Okay, now go back to the shape. How shape are important and what are their association? Here, if you see, the circle actually represents the regulatory. So, all the regulatory information need to be in circle. The triangle is for warning. So, most of the warning information, if you see, you can easily associate it from this side. So, it gives you the warning information. Whereas the square is used for showing the information as here and here. So, the combination is being used in service signages. They are for the safety for the building occupants. One more thing which is very much visible is how they have been placed. These signages can be strategically placed in prominent locations throughout the building, wherever they are easily visible and accessible to the occupants. These signs are typically positioned at the eye levels and near potential hazards or emergency equipment to ensure quickly recognition and response. Now, what are these back of house signages? These are also a service signages. These signages are typically located at the staff only areas or the service corridors or service loading deck, or you can say the kitchen, the maintenance room or the other service related part of a building, which is actually not directly visible to the main user of the building. You can say they are the behind the screen to keep the facility running smoothly. For example, in a restaurant kitchen, service signages may include sign including the location of the fire extinguisher, emergency exit, first aid kit, and in hotels, back of the house signages might include signages which are directing to the staff for the laundry services, supply store area or maintenance room. These signages help employees to navigate the hotel infrastructure efficiently, ensuring the tasks are completed effectively and operations are run smoothly. Overall, service signages play a critical role in ensuring the safety, efficiency and functionality behind the screen operations in various established facilities. These are the two signages which has been indicated in here. There is a difference in material also when we design signages for back of house areas. For example, most of the sizes, and if you look at them, they look like identificational signages, which is actually giving you identification, okay, this is toilet and this is staircase. But see, the color, the material are entirely different. How you identify that? And how can we identify that which one will be used to back of house and which one will be used to the front of house? So see, since the front of house signages are for the public, the important people, the back of house signages are for the staff and, as we mentioned, to the maintenance and other people who are associated with the services. So for those areas, the material choice is also less costly. So here we save money by giving the cost effectiveness in material selection. That's why this signage is used on back of house areas, where this will be on front of house. Now, let's go on to the very another important thing, which is called as signage hierarchy. In any signage program, not all the information or content holds equal weightage. Some signage messages and locations carry greater importance than other, which necessitates hierarchical ranking system to prioritize their presentation. This ranking is based on relative significance, categorizes signage messages as primary, secondary and tertiary, or even less critical. The underlying principle dictates that the more critical and critical the information is, the higher the rank is to be given. Consequently, the primary message are allotted more prominent placement and larger graphic representation compared to secondary or tertiary ones. This hierarchical structure ensures that the essential information receives optimal visibility and prominence, facilitating effective communication within the built environment. What is a message hierarchy relationship? The primary message, which is essential information or direction critical for navigation and safety, which is this one. The secondary messages, which are supplementary details or instructions that support primary message. The tertiary message, which is additional information or notice of lesser urgency or importance. For example, you can see an image at the bottom. At an airport arrival hall, a signage program illustrates message hierarchy. Priority message includes baggage claim, because the moment you enter into the arrival, you will definitely look for where I can the baggage. So, it becomes the primary important thing, and along with that we also search for where is an arrival hall. So, that holds equal importance. So, we keep these at primary importance. So, we call them as a primary message. So, these two information became our primary messages, whereas the baggage cart availability as well as the location of the toilet and other amenities are given as secondary importance. So, we keep them at a secondary message, whereas some information which is additional and very less number of people require such information, like do's and don'ts, we can give them the tertiary importance. I hope next time whenever you visit the airport, you might able to categorize the messages in these categories. Now, let's go to our next classification, which is based on the locations. On the basis of the locations, you can see that how these signages have been located in this building. You can see the awning signage, which extend from the building above the door and providing shelter, that often featuring the different shapes, which is this one or even this one. The canopy signage, which is similar to awning signage but without primary goals of providing the shelter. It extends the building exterior wall and may facilitate as a marking. The parapet signage, which are usually located above the parapet like this. The projecting signages, which is the signage which is projecting out of wall, we call it as a projecting signage. The roof signage, a signage which is located, for example, here. You would have seen various commercial signages which are located at the top of the roof. We call it as a roof signage. Signage bands, the signages which are actually in the form of a band, maybe you would have used in a commercial. Here it's not been represented, maybe like this in the entire walls. That is a band, signage band. Wall or fascia signage, this signage acts as a wall or fascia signage. The window signage, the signage which is above the window, that is called, this can be a window signage. Electronic message centers are the signages which are actually the electronics, and they are dynamic signages that display changing messages, including text, graphics, animations or videos. They use technology like LED or LCD screens and commonly used for advertisements and promotions, or sometimes announcements or event schedules. They also show sometimes the current timings or event temperature, making them versatile in communication, used for businesses and organizations for different purposes. Next is the joint tenant signage. Display the various tenants of a business complex or a shopping complex, typically near the entrance. So, if there is a signage which actually gives you all the names, listing of the names of what all tenants are actually residing here. So, those are called joint tenant signage. Monument signage, it's lower in height and often require the local ordinance and property landmarks, which is actually in the form of monument. The pole signages are the pylon signages. The only difference that pole signages are freestanding and visually support structures, whereas the simply pole signages are actually enclosed support structures, but they are visible from the very far distance like this. So, this way we have categorized our signages based on their locations. I have a task for you. Whenever you visit your nearest road or the famous road which you are usually go every day, look for all the signages. Try to categorize them in what category they can be, based on the locations, even based on the usage. You might find based on a usage, you might find most of the signages as identification. So, better look for usage in a building itself, but make sure the building should not be residential, it should be some public building. Okay. So, now let us go to the classification based on the materials. We will begin with the metal. So, metal, because we have a lot of different things to talk about here, the stainless steel and aluminum are frequently used because they are both long lasting and resistant to the corrosion. Making them ideal for outdoor setting, we use these materials in order to achieve a contemporary and sophisticated appearance. They are frequently cut using CNC machines or lasers, or then pinned or coated to increase their durability. Now, let us talk about the plastics. So, plastics where polycarbonates, PVC are the main rulers. They can be mounted into a wide variety of shapes and colors. They are lightweight and versatile, which make them ideal for indoor and outdoor signages. The use of woodworking tools and the applications of staining or painting techniques allow for the creation of wood that shows a natural and rustic atmosphere, making it more excellent choice for heritage look or setting. Let's take acrylic as one of the examples, which is preferred to as plexiglass. Acrylic provide a contemporary and professional appearance, and it's been used in transport, which adds an extra pop-up color. We can use it as a transparent form, or we can add some colors to it. In addition to being able to engraved or painted, it can be cut using lasers or CNC machines. A touch of elegance can be achieved through the use of glass signages. Tempered or laminated glass, which gives a high-end sophistications, is also being frequently used in this setting and are considered to be classy and corporate. Moving on to the next ones, let's talk about vinyl. Vinyl are the excellent choice for advertisements and promotions because it is cost-effective option for temporary and short-term signages. In addition to being cut into customized shape, it is painted either digitally or through screen print. Moving on to the banner or flag made of fabrics, polyesters or canvas. These items offer lightweight portability, making them ideal for an event or an exhibition. Depending on the requirements, they can be stitched, tailored and being painted digitally. Using LED lights, which are both energy efficient and having long lifespan, it's possible to eliminate these signs when they are located on both outdoor and indoor. Even ceramic tiles or plates are also being used in many ways. We can customize them and glaze them and use it for painting. Ceramic tiles and plates are durable and resistant. Then we have paper, which is utilized for temporary signage such as flyers. It is laminated or durable after being painted digitally or offset. In terms of signages and wayfinding design, these materials include a wide variety of options, each of which possesses its own set of characteristics and practical applications. We need to look for materials that met our requirement, be it durability, elegance or just splash of colors. You can have it all based on your project requirement. If you see on the right side of this visual, there have been certain selection of metal materials utilized in two different projects. Here, this one and this one. We have used it. They are actually the snapshots of two different projects which we have done in the past. If you see the selection of colors or the materials in the top, this was a material selected for doing a signage of a antique finish building. So you can see that all the materials which has been selected, first the brown shade, which is actually printed with metallic, printed with aluminum with antique dark color, brown color. The finish is satin, which means the finish is smooth in satin finish. The second one is again the metallic and painted with brass color. Some service places where we have used the aluminum, and some places we have used the combination of metallic painted acrylic in dark brown color or even in grey color. So these two are most of the signage materials which were used on the front of the house project. Let me talk about this project. While doing any of the projects, we have to look in various aspects. For example, in this was an assembly building where everybody is an important person. Numbering the rooms with 1, 2, 3, it becomes very difficult because everybody feels that their room has to be given as room number 1. This was one of the challenges which we faced doing this project. So, coming to the solution part, we actually modified all the numbering systems to the name of the precious stones. So, all the rooms holds equal importance and are based on certain semi-precious stones names. Since that was a project where we have to give the antique finish, that's why we have used most of these signages into this satin finish with metallic brown and gold brass colors. In next project, which was actually the stadium project, where we have used polished stainless steel color with a natural stainless color, same the natural color, and finish was polished. We have also used stainless steel brass painted in metallic grey. We also have to specify the color. If it is metallic, of course the name has to go with the RAL paint finish, or we can even specify the Pantone shade color. It also depends that various users, various countries use different color nomenclatures. So, in some places we used NCS system, National Colors Scheme. Some places we specify Pantone and some places RAL. So, here we have used the blue, which is powder coated finish, here with the acrylic sheet, and green again with the powder coated finish. We have given the descriptions, we have given the colors and the finishes. So, if we are doing any project, it becomes very much essential to, when proposing any material which provides comprehensive specifications encompassing details such as material type, what is the quality, what are the colors, what are the finishes, and what is its application method, and any other related characteristics if it is something very unique. Apart from this, as I told you, there is also one more classification which is based on the content. For example, when a contractor has to print 30,000 signages in one go, they have developed the screen printing based on certain content. Suppose I have to do the printing of toilets. I have 1000 locations where I have to place the signage with the name washrooms or toilets. So, for that they do the categorization based on their easiness, so that they can reduce the cost, they can save some cost. So, they will develop one screen printing which actually can do the screen printing of toilets. They will utilize different signages and do the screen printing with the same ones. So, this way categorization can differ. So, this was it for today's sessions. Let us go to the summary of what we have covered today. Today we have covered the classifications of signages, which is how can we classify. First, we classified the signages based on the usage. What is a usage? Where are we using it? Is it for directional? Is it for identificational, informational? Then we discussed about the classification based on their location. What is a location? Where are we installing our signages? Is it the wall mounted? Is it the freestanding, or it is a pole mounted, or where? Then we also discussed about the material. What kind of a material we are using for the signages? Are we using it for the outdoor, or are we using it for the indoor signages? What is the durability of the material, and which material is better for which kind of a purpose? We also discussed the evolution of pictograms, how pictograms evolved, what is the history of it. We discussed some examples related to the games and how city used the pictograms to build its own identity. Then we talked about how it is important in the culture and religious influences in signages, how it differs from one country to other, be it a left-hand driving or a right-hand driving. Then we discussed about material selection and representation. These are the few references related to the same. This is it from my side. Thank you.
Hello, I am A.K. Sharma and I teach sociology in IIT Kanpur. I am going to discuss a question which is frequently posed to sociologists, and that is, what is the role of sociology in policy making? Now, so far in our country and also in the world, in World Bank, in UN organizations, in Population Council, planning is seen as something for which economists are particularly trained, and very few sociologists were found in planning process. Planning was given to statisticians and to economists. But now gradually planners and states are realizing that sociologists have a very important contribution to make to planning process. What can sociologists do to planning? Sociologists can pose problems. Sociology can identify which problems of society need priority or greater intervention. Like Indian society may be suffering from thousands of problems, but since solution of problem requires expenditure of resources in terms of time, money and manpower, all the problems cannot be solved, or we cannot focus on all the problems. Do you know that our national health plan focuses only on 15% of the diseases from which people in India die? It is not possible to cover all 100% diseases in the program. Program means resources. So, sociologists can help us by conducting surveys, by talking to people, by doing field work, that from people's perspective which problems need to be given greater attention. then sociologists can also help the planners in understanding various dimensions of the problem. Suppose you are trying to solve the problem of why in India maternal mortality rate is high. We know that maternal mortality rate means rate of deaths among women associated with childbirth is particularly high. Sociologists tell them that this problem is not going to be solved simply through health intervention. We have to look at things in entirety or totality or what we call holistically, and we have to understand that India has a patriarchal system in which in rural areas particularly value of life of a woman is very little. This is one meaning of patriarchy. So, if you do not care about your women, you will not take them to health center also. There is a problem of transportation, there is a problem of ignorance. People do not know the danger signs, people do not go to ashas, people do not go for ANC, people do not understand the danger signs. There are several danger signs which everybody should be able to know if a woman in the family becomes pregnant. Sociologists tell that apart from health interventions, you require other interventions also, education, empowerment, power of women in decision making, nutrition, control of stress. The sociologists can tell the planners all these. And one important role that sociologists can play in planning process is by involving in monitoring and evaluation of development programs. From time to time government launches various programs for the benefit of people, like you all have heard about Manrega, Mahatma Gandhi National Rural Employment Scheme or Act, Manrega, A for Act, S scheme, or other welfare programs. We sociologists can conduct studies and tell to what extent goals of these programs have been attained and what are the bottlenecks or what needs to be done in the future to improve the effectiveness and efficiency. Effectiveness means reach, efficiency means cost benefit ratio, how to improve effectiveness and efficiency of the program. And are there some specific groups where some specific intervention is to be launched to make these programs successful. Something which can work in Delhi may not work in remote tribal areas of Chhattisgarh. So, sociologists help the planners in evolving area specific approach to implementation of their development programs. These days an interesting branch of sociology called reflexive sociology can also help the planners in understanding if the methods that they are using to solve the existing problems, they are themselves going to create new kinds of problems in the future. Reflexive sociology is about understanding the ill consequences of interventions launched by the government or NGOs or by civil society in the interest of society. You know, something which we do for improvement or in the interest of society can also create problems. Bureaucracy, for example, created the problem of red tapeism, and health programs led to population crisis, urbanization led to alienation, and development produced the environmental problem. So, reflexive sociology can help you in anticipating if your solutions are going to create new problems and how to deal with them. Thank you.